into it because you got to try to buy for convenience for your job to commute to a job when you work in person, not on a computer. But when you are a digital nomad and you work from the computer, you just have to be in a place that's got decent internet. And then you want to make sure that you produce the reasonable income to cover the cost of the house. So I could see you in areas where it is not as populated. The houses are cheaper because the market doesn't have as high of a turnover. Getting a 2,000 square foot house for $800 a month on a mortgage instead of having a 700 square foot apartment for $1,500 a month, stuff to that effect. Because you're not really looking at, if you're financing, you're not really thinking about buying it outright cash up front. But if you're gonna buy it cash up front, you should do like Michael say do on a regular basis, is go to some of them auctions and buy one for the unpaid taxes on a property, where you can buy a $250,000 house for like $15,000 worth of unpaid taxes, and then just pay the cost of court to put the title in your name, and then you got the house. You foreclose on the house and get the title for the house. And if you're going to go cheap by getting a foreclosed home. Go cheap by getting a tax seized house. If you're really going to go cheap, but don't get a manufactured home, or get a mobile home and call yourself trying to have something of equitable value. Um, but I mean, if you're just trying to grab you a bunch of rental properties and you want to build your trailer park, oh yeah, you go cheap and build your trailer park, but that's not for you personally. I wouldn't recommend that. But like as a business strategy, yeah, go ahead and do that because you're not getting it for the equity, you're getting it for the income. You want to get a bunch of $75,000 trailers and rent them out to low income families, then yeah, you can do that. The maintenance on them are pretty reasonable, so yeah, you can do that. He said you proved that it's better to invest in the stock market. I have. I have, because ultimately, if you go and look at the stock market, especially the stocks that I give you guys on a weekly basis, you will find that these are the dividend paying stocks right here at the bottom of the screen for 9 by 16, top of the screen by, well, no, 16 by 9 is at the bottom, 9 by 16 is the top. And those are dividend paying stocks, and you can run right now with the way the market is volatile, with Donald Trump doing all of his stuff in Iran. You got 19% interest on 19.5% interest on real estate investment trust, 18.5 is 16.5 on BDCs, and you've got certain shares or certain stocks that are so volatile right now that you can turn a quick buck for little to no money. You're talking about like 275 a share, 455 a share, 925 a share. Like a pack of cigarettes is like 3 shares of stock right now. A bottle of beer at the bar is like 2 shares of stock right now. It's so cheap to buy in, and it's paying dividends every month. And there's a lot of them that y'all could be getting yourselves into, and you don't got to worry about, if you're investing in real estate investment trust stocks. You don't got to go through all the trouble of buying a damn house and building it up and renting it out. You just buy the shares of the stocks and get the money off of that, because the real estate investment trust got to put 90% back to the people. So you personally don't have to manage a whole business, showing up, collecting rent, getting lawyers, suing people, foreclosures, evictions. You ain't got to do all that shit. All you got to do is just put your money up on the stock market for real estate investment trust and just get paid. You can sleep and make money and let somebody else do all the work. He said, stay away from mobile homes. Listen to Michael, y'all. Michael know what he's talking about. Mobile homes are great. Find one with additions. Still sells at mobile price, but you can rent it for a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom price. Okay, so if you're buying it for a rental property, like I said before, a special shout out to Seth. If you're buying it for a rental property, it's a great thing to get. If you're buying it for a personal house with the expectation of equity later to take out a home equity loan to do repairs on the house, repair your car, buy you another car, pay for some medical bills, bail somebody out of jail, whatever it is that you would normally use your house for, a mobile home is not great for that. A mobile home does not hold its value enough to leverage the home as an asset towards other assets. You can't put up 5 trailers to go and get you an apartment complex. You can put up 5 houses to get you an apartment complex. That's what I'm talking about. So when you start talking about leveraging the houses that you own to get you a bigger property, you can't leverage 30 trailers in order to get you a strip mall, but you can leverage 30 houses to get you a strip mall. Special shout out to Nicole, Detroit, Michigan in the house. That's right. Better, but you might as well buy you an empty plot of land, develop it, and then build your own trailer park in there. And then when you think about it, the cost of a trailer these days, you actually got more space if you just bought you a bunch of mini homes for 50 to $75,000 a piece, and them little 500 square foot one room efficiencies with a bathroom and a kitchen in it, and you can put down like 8 of those on an acre of property, and just put you some driveways in between the houses and just have them people live on that, and you don't gotta try. On an acre of property, you could turn an acre of property with mini homes. You could turn an acre of property into a neighborhood instead of doing mobile homes. Mobile homes decrease in value; they're not worth it. Is it equity to bail somebody out of jail? I love it, but that's what people do. Your cousin get got, you put your house up for 20 stacks, and then your cousin get out. He got a $200,000 bond. You put the house up for 20,000. Now they got the deed to your house. When the case is closed, they give you a D back. They keep the 20,000, but they give you the D back. And they, but you got to pay the 20,000 to the house. I wouldn't do that. Your ass go to jail. You don't even call me. Don't even call me. I don't take collect calls, bro. You can be my best friend. I don't take collect calls. He said $300, $300 per space per month or more. He ain't lying, y'all. Matter of fact, you can hit them with $500 a month for an efficiency. So a mini home could be 500 a month, and then if you do utilities included, you could potentially hit them for $800 a month for utilities included. Then you can hit them for $1,000 a month for fully furnished utilities included as a rental property. You can take a person who got a job with no house and no stuff and move into your mini home and be paying you $1,000 a month for your mini home. And it, like I said, if you could put 8 of them on an acre of property, you can find yourself getting paid $8,000 a month for 8 mini homes for 1 acre property. So imagine if you had 10 acres of property, you could build 80 homes on that, or at least 75 and a major street and some side roads and stuff like that. What do you think about tattoo hairline for me? That ain't what we talk about today. Special shout out to Ross. That ain't what we talk about today, but I'm gonna tell you what I think about tattoos real quick, even though we talk about real estate. Um, so I understand that there's a cultural aspect of tattoos, and I understand that there's an artistic history of tattoos. But here in the United States, tattoos are contributed to. I understand that you're bald, but what I'm about to get into is the issue because from what I see based on your profile, you and I got the same good tan. And the problem that I have, special shout out to Sean Banks, is that if you get a tattoo, you are going to get profiled as the social characteristics of the type of minority that carries tattoos. So anybody who has a similar tattoo to yours that commits a crime in a reasonable vicinity of where you are will end up having you get picked up because you have the same tattoo. Because when they describe us, special shout out to Uncommon Woman, they don't describe us by actual features. It is average height, African American male with average white tee, jeans, sneakers, bald head with a tattoo, right? So yeah, yeah, exactly. So actually what ends up happening is as soon as you put on a tattoo, if they're looking for an African American man with tattoos, t-shirt, I see your white t-shirt on your profile, jeans, if you got some white Nikes on to match that white t-shirt, you match the description of about 250,000 African Americans in your neighborhood. So as soon as you put that tattoo on, you become a statistic. So when you ask me what do I think about tattoos, you got to be careful about where you get it. And if you start talking about getting tattoos on your head, on your face, especially when you bald, where people can see it, they can utilize that tattoo to implicate you in some stuff that you ain't had nothing to do with. Because the only corroborating evidence that shows that you're involved is that the tattoo involved in the crime is on your scalp. So I don't recommend that. If the girls want to get the little paisleys or whatever kind of stuff on their wrist or something on their shoulder, or if they want to put a flower on their chest and keep it covered, or they want to get something near their crotch or put something on a butt cheek and nobody can see it. They want to get something on their ankle and wear tall ankle socks where nobody can see it. I mean, you do what you want to do as far as like artistic expression. But when, as a grown ass man, you start talking about putting tattoos on your face, tattoos on your head, Mike Tyson punch out kind of stuff, or Dwayne the Rock Johnson kind of shit, Batista kind of shit, Roman Reigns kind of shit, bro, don't do that. You setting yourself up for failure. He said if there's anybody who got tattoos when young, who does not regret them? Everybody regret their tattoos. They regret the choice that they made. They regret where they put it at. A lot of times they get a tattoo on top of a tattoo to try to turn it into something better. And a lot of times they get the tattoo for a stupid reason. That's like 90% of the population. I know. And that's the reason why I'm saying don't get the tattoo. But that's for all races. But see, the thing about it is, though, you are already part of a systemic violation that you don't really want to be a part of because being an African American man, you're going to be incorporated into the get them out of this country run. Blacks and Mexicans are going to get carded more often than white Americans. Black Americans are going to be targeted for crime because we're outside. Black Americans with tattoos are going to be affiliated with gang violence. So, a Black American man going from no tattoos to tattoos is asking for more trouble. They're going to treat you with more hostility just because you're black with tattoos because they're taught social profiling. It's how they're able to do their job better, but they use it in the wrong fashion, especially if they're new cops. It's not corrupt cops that makes policing bad. It's the new cops that don't have good decision making skills and they try to cover their mistakes after the fact. They can leave you out there like Trayvon Martin, where you didn't do nothing wrong, but now you're not breathing no more. They got you out there like George Floyd. I can't breathe. Even though the man didn't do what he was supposed to do, the fact is they ain't had to let him suffocate. They could have just put him in a squad car. Fact is that you don't want to do things to yourself that will compromise your ability to be successful. Now, if you want a tattoo, you want to represent somebody or something, and you proud of the tattoo, you want to get the tattoo and you rock the tattoo, put it in an appropriate pace. Put it on your chest, put it on your stomach, keep and put a shirt on. Rock it for yourself. Put it on your leg or something like that. Put it on your bicep and put on a long sleeve shirt. But don't be putting it all over your skull and all this stuff so that people can see it from afar, where your self expression gets you judged before you get a chance to say hello. That's not what you need. You don't want to look like a problem before you show up, where your intelligence is ignored because of how you look. That's my point. I'm having a tat put on my ass. The address and put on turn to sender. I mean, I understand what you're saying. It's a hairline tattoo, but it's still a tattoo, right? Okay, so you want to get real hair tattooed on your skull because you bald. I think that with the price that it would cost for that and the quantity of pain that it would cost for that, why don't you just get hair implants and just have real hair on your head instead of having a tattoo of it? The tattoo is the problem. It's not the design. There is no design that is more inappropriate than the next. It is the fact that it is ink on your skin. So if you're gonna damage your skin by having all the needles go into it, $2,500, you can get restoration hair implants. Rogaine for men can make your hair grow back for $2,500. What you paying? That's a car, bro. What the heck you paying all that money for a tattoo for? For vanity, exactly. What you paying all that money, $2,500 for a tattoo for? When you could get real hair for that. And you could get the kind of hair that you can wash, rinse, and repeat. You can get better hair than these women be having on their head for $2,500. You can get you some Brazilian wax, silk, satin, something or other sold straight on into your scalp for $2,500. Restoration of $10,000. Oh, okay. So what you're telling me is that for another three easy payments of $2,500, you can get a whole head of hair for the rest of your life that look like something from a Kiss movie. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Don't get no tattoo. That don't make no damn sense. You don't need no tattoo, sir. I'm just being for real. There's no reason in the world. And I'm not knocking tattoo artists. They got really good skills. They got really good skill. I've thought about it before. I was like, man, I want to get one of those tattoos with the invisible ink where you can only see it in the dark. And I'm gonna get the kind of tattoo. And then my shit was ridiculous when I thought about this. The tattoo was gonna say my death was not an accident. That way, they open an investigation. It don't matter how I die. I could die in my sleep, but the tattoo on my chest gonna say my death was not an accident, just to make them look into what happened. Michael said, "Go for it, live once." Turkish vacation with hair plug. Exactly, hair plugs in Turkey. Yeah, yeah, exactly. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. So what you talk. So basically, if you fly to Turkey, you pay twice as much, but you get better quality hair. Then when you go into the club and you're looking at all the women that you can see the glue in the seam of they sew in where they done glued their edges to their scalp, and you be like, "Girl, my hair way better than yours," and it costs less because I paid 5 grand one time. You pay $800 a month, and I still look better. Lord have mercy. All right, y'all. Look, we were supposed to be talking about real estate today because somebody asked me, and I forgot who it was. I think it was FX Trader who asked me if it was better to rent or to buy. And that's what we were supposed to be talking about today, whether or not we were supposed to rent or to buy. Now, our short answer told y'all it's just better to buy than it is to rent, but I'm about to go down the details as to why I said what I said before, because I know that a lot of times people are a little bit skeptical and they ain't too sure what I gotta say. So I just want to make sure that I do the research and I give y'all the scoop and the skinny the details, because there is a possibility that I can be wrong. I'm about 95% correct. There's always a 5% chance that I might be wrong. But Michael gonna co-sign. Buy is better than rent. Buy is better than rent. First time home buyer. You got the first time home buyer credit. You got financial down payment assistance credits. You got FHA credits. You got so many different ways that you can pick up one house, one single family home, and then the mortgage, if you get it in the right spot, is going to be cheaper than rent. And then if you get one that's ready to move in with all the repairs, you don't got to do anything to the property for several years, and then you can factor in the cost of repairs into your savings. So the money that you're not spending on the mortgage and the money that you're not spending on the difference between the money you was spending on the rent and the money that you don't have to put on your mortgage, you can put that money into a high interest brokerage account and start building up capital so that when you do need repairs, you got extra money for that. Then you don't have to worry about not having enough money to take care of your house. He said, NACA mortgage, no money down, no closing costs. Man, fuck. I wish I knew about that. I ain't even find them people out. Cause so what I do about no closing costs is what happens is that in the deal, I don't want to pay for it. So what I'll do is that I will have the seller pay for the closing costs and then get a down payment assistance program to pay for the down payment. I don't put up no money. I sign the papers and then just start making the monthly payments. So all I really got to do is pay for the movers. But if you got a NACA mortgage program that does no money down and no closing, especially if it's the kind of company that'll take you with closer to a 600 credit score, a lot of people need to look into that and see if they qualify. One of the things we're going to tell you is that you get qualified better if you have 12 to 24 months worth of on-time payments on your credit score, and that you don't have that many charged off or overdraft accounts. Typically, you want to have less to no charged off or overdraft accounts for over the last 2 years. So when you decide to go and get that house, even if you have a bankruptcy of something like that, you don't have to worry about that. That's not going to stop you from getting a house, because anything after the first 24 months after the bankruptcy, you can still go and buy yourself a house. If you get evicted from a house, that does not stop you from buying a house. So if your landlord being an asshole, instead of letting them evict you, just go buy something and move out. You know, the chest tattoo that you can see on her ultraviolet light's a great idea. Yeah, I know. That's what I was gonna get. That's what I was gonna get. And if I could set it up where when I passed, that it would happen in a spot where they would have to use an ultraviolet light on me, and they're gonna be like, who gets this kind of tattoo? Chest is not my death was not an accident. They'll open up an investigation. Look, look, any man that's married that's got a will or something like that that's set up where the life insurance policy is set up where your wife gets the money as long as it's an accidental death. Before you die, you get that tattoo put on you that my death was not an accident. Freeze everything. 10 months trying to figure out how he died. Was there some foul play? He's warning us from the grave. NACA sounds like a subprime loans. It could be. I mean, I haven't looked into it, so I don't know what the interest rates are on it. So while it sounds too good to be true, with no money down and no closing costs, there is as long as you meet the criteria and the parameters for it, you are capable of getting in there and getting. And if you can make the payments after you set everything up, you can get it. Now, what people who are renting to own don't think about is how much the total cost of the property is going to be over the course of the life of the loan because they're going to keep the property. But is this the best in the country? Which are you in the United States or are you in Turkey? But one of the things I understand is that for investors, we typically try to look at opportunity costs. So when we think about certain interest rates, we want to buy out of certain mortgages and buy into others. So you might just get the original. Oh, that's in the U.S. Then. Oh, okay. I really got to look into it now. Um, because if you got that hookup, you can get a VA loan and get that bad boy with like 2.5% or 5% interest, something like that, and do the 30-year fixed rate. And then you can remortgage that bitch into the usually what happens is if you miss a payment or two on your VA loan and then you refinance that bitch with another lender and they give you a 40-year fixed rate for 2.5 and pay that bitch off. There's ways around it. There's ways around it. But the only concern that I have with that is that whatever you don't pay up front, they hit that with interest. They had to fight for that program for us. Okay. So that's for the brothers. Okay, that explains a lot. Because that's the only way we're gonna get something they cover. Because none of us is gonna have 20 grand sitting in the safe in the back of the house. It's not gonna happen. The only minorities that got 20 grand sitting in the safe in the back of their house is criminals. Um, the black folks that got money is in a bank. Um, so to talk about some trying to put down between 5 and 20% down on the price of a house, depending on the price of some houses. Like in like California, they're like $750,000 in New York. They're 800, $900,000, $1 million in Florida. They're like 500 to $700,000. It's just it's crazy. Oh yeah, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check it out after the show. I'm gonna check it out and see what's going on with it because I want to do some field work on that because that's an investment opportunity. It depends on the structural requirements of it because um if a company can use that to close on a property, there's an end, right? Because the new laws that just got passed prevents big name companies from using financial assistance programs to buy houses. Oh, you have to live in a home. Oh, okay, okay. So that's a homestead. That's a homestead mortgage program. Okay, okay. Well, if you buy a rehab, if you buy a rehab. Oh, but see, if you're a LLC, you can buy the house for yourself and you can live in it while you fix it, and then you can sell it. You can buy it under your own name, live in it while you fix it, and then meet that 1 year requirement or whatever, and then sell it and sell it for more than what you paid for it. If you doing a startup in real estate investment, you can do all kind of stuff. So check this out. Everybody say that buying a house is the key to building wealth, and it is a dream taught to us from the moment we start our first job. Save up, get a mortgage, stop, throwing your money away on rent. That's what it tells you. Stop throwing your money away on rent. But what if I told you that is not the whole story? What if for some people renting could actually be the smarter move? So this isn't going to be another one of those shows that just compares mortgage to rent. And honestly, those comparisons are way too simple. This decision isn't just about a spreadsheet. It is about your time, your freedom, your career, and your relationship. And it's going to be a decision that impacts every part of your future. So he said, living it for 6 months, then you can rent out the land. Well, if you live in it, if you own it and you subjugate the house from the land, you can sell the house and lease the land to the homeowner and set up a land trust. You can buy a multifamily and live in one unit and they will finance the repairs. That's what a lot of people recommend, but it's harder when you're doing one of those homestead loans. They typically don't allow you to walk into multifamily homes. They want you to do single family homes. If you can find one, because a multifamily home is considered commercial property. So when you start trying to pick up a multifamily home, whether it's a duplex or a fourplex or whatever, you're having to get a lender that is going to finance you for a commercial property. When you get a house, 1 to 5 bedrooms, 10 bedrooms, it's a single family home. So, oh, so they'll do the fourplex. Okay, okay. Well. If NACA would do all this, I don't know why all the brothers and sisters are still on Section 8. They need to be picking this stuff up. We go. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to do some research. I'm gonna have to crossbreed with y'all and let y'all know so that I could at least put up a short or something about this place and let everybody know how to get their hands on it. I'll put some information in the membership and let everybody know how to get their hands on it. So that if y'all qualify, y'all go get it. Y'all go get it. You doing it now, bro? Like it's easy for the not suffer no more. That's why when somebody was saying yesterday, oh, people in low income neighborhoods, crime ridden neighborhoods, ain't got no choices. Yes, you do. You just choose not to. That's your choice. It's to not apply. That's the reason why people stay in the hood. They born in the hood. They live in the hood. They die in the hood because they choose to, not because they ain't got no other options. They just ain't looking for none. You know, you can't control where you born, but you can damn sure control where you stay. You just got to put in some effort and make some changes. But if you make too many bad decisions, you run out of options. That's when you ain't got no other option. When you've committed like 5 felonies and you got tattoos all over your face, there's not many more things you can do with your life. That's why I always tell y'all think before you act. Now, how will that decision, no matter how much you impulsively like it before you get it, how will that decision impact the rest of your life? Because unchangeable decisions like that hairline tattoo ain't something that you can easily undo, and it might cost way more money to undo it than what it do to get it done. And it's painful to get it done, and it's going to be equally, if not more, painful to get it undone. So I mean, why waste the money? He said 6.22 is the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate. um, no, it's going to be a little bit higher than that, Michael. 6.22 is going to be if you got good credit, and good credit is going to be over 720 credit score. 720 to 750 credit score. If you're looking at under a 700, you're going to be looking at 6.5, um, closer to 6.7. Unless you're doing a VA, then you might see 6.22 or 6.25. But if you're doing like FHA or something like that for a 30-year fixed mortgage for a credit score like 650, 670, 680, you're probably going to see closer to 650 or 675 interest rates. It's going to be less than 7, but it's going to be more than 6.2. I can tell you that. That not goes always lower than average. That's because they're getting the folks that can't afford it. If you undercut the market, you can make more profits because you're cheaper than everybody else because you're gonna get more customers. So the truth is, the rent versus buy debate is framed as a simple money problem, but it's really a complex life design problem. So for the next few, oh man, I want to say the next few minutes. It's like the next hour or so. We're gonna break this down. And I'm going to show you guys how to look past the surface level numbers and use your housing decision as a tool to support your long term goals. So we're going to do this by looking at three core pillars: your money, your lifestyle, and your local market. By the end, you won't have a one size fit all answer, but one does not exist. So you're not going to be able to trust a one size fit all answer. Instead, you'll have a framework to make a confident decision that truly supports the future that you want to build. So before we build a new way of thinking, we have to tear down that old one. The rent versus buy debate is full of two huge myths that we accept as fact, and they can lead people down the wrong path. He said, how can some people from Section 8 buy a house through NACA? Because people who live off of Section 8 don't got to pay so much money for housing, so they can save their money and fix their credit and pay off back debts, and then they can reduce their debt to credit on their credit score. And then when they decide to go, if they when they especially when you're doing combined incomes, because you can do co-signers on mortgages, you can meet that income requirement for the monthly payment, which is your income, your debt to income should be 30%. So if the house you're trying to buy is $800 a month, you got to be able to show $2,400 a month worth of income. So if you're making $2,000 a month or $3,000 a month, well, I would say about $2,500 a month, because people that qualify for Section 8 are inside of that $30,000 a month income. So somewhere between 24 and $30,000 is going to be somewhere between 2,000 and $2,500 a month income. If you got that kind of money, and your homie got that kind of money, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend got that kind of money, and y'all pool y'all money together and finance this house, if both of y'all got two and a half on a $30,000 year income, y'all come together, y'all got 5,000, which means y'all have more than three times the house note, which allows for y'all to co-sign on the house and get y'all something that's $800 a month and move out of Section 8 and then move into something else. Even though the Section 8 policy is that you're not supposed to have people off the lease living in your house, most Section 8 housing has residents with guests that live off lease. And if you've got extra people in your house that's living off lease and helping you with your Section 8, y'all can pool y'all money together and go buy a house. And then y'all can live in that house as cheap as a Section 8, but y'all building equity. Then y'all can leverage the house to buy another house. And then y'all can just keep spreading that around until everybody got a house. So it is possible. It just, like Michael said, you got to change your mindset. Oh man, I hate Section 8, but I mean, if you ain't got no other way, bro, it's better. Buy owner is good too. You don't have to go through a bank. Um, Works great on homes that cost 100,000 or less. Yeah, it do, but the hard part is that depending on where you go with 100,000 or less, you get in a house that need to be rebuilt. You're not getting a ready to move in house a lot of the times. If you're trying to get a rehab house for cheap, that's a good way to go. But if you're trying to move out of a house and move into a house that you don't got to do nothing to, it's hard to find $100,000 house. You can find them if you're talking about a one bedroom house, one bedroom, one bathroom. You can find them ready to move in. You can find a two bedroom, one bathroom for 110 or $120,000. But to find a three bedroom or four bedroom house for $100,000, there's something wrong with the house. So if you moving for yourself, then $100,000 house is findable in any state. But if you moving with a family, you, your girlfriend, and your child, where your child gonna need their own room, you and your girl gonna be in one room, and y'all might get a guest room. That's a three bedroom, two bathroom. You're not gonna find that for $100,000 nowhere. He said on their website, they say that debt to income rate is up to 40% of income. Yeah, 40% of income, but you got to look at 30% of income is going to be your guarantee, because you're looking at what your interest rates is going to look like, bro. When you start getting high risk, they start charging you more interest rates. So the better you qualify, the better it is, because you also what they're going to factor in, because some like the VA take out property insurance, and the VA takes out property taxes out of the mortgage so you don't got to pay that. But other lenders will include the taxes and they will include the property insurance into the mortgage, which increases the price of the house. So your $800 a month house plus all that extra stuff might cost $1,000 a month. Now your 40% on $800 is gonna be what? 800 on 16. But then if you turn that to or 800 on 18, 1800, right? But then if you turn that into that extra $200 because of the rent and the property taxes, it just hit 1,000. If you making 1,600, you more than 50%. If you was making 2,000, thinking that oh this mortgage is going to be 800 for just the house, and then they add that 150, 200 a month to it, now you at 1,000. You went from being less than 50% to being right at 50%. So if you aim for 30%, if you're getting the kind of loan that's going to hit you with that extra property taxes and property insurance, and if they got the termite contract on there and all this other stuff that's going to be added on as monthly payments, you're still in the threshold of less than 40%. So I'm giving you a aim lower than expectation so that you can always succeed. Because if you at the top and then you overshoot, it's like being 1 pound below the next weight class and you just sneeze and go into the next weight class, and now you the lightest motherfucker in the new weight class instead of being the heaviest motherfucker in the old weight class. You don't want to be at the top end of 40%. You want to be at the top end of 30% so that if you add an extra 5% of cost to the deal, you can still have less than 40%. He's as good in Mississippi, Alabama, South Carolina, Indiana, and Kentucky. Woo! Move in ready. I'm gonna be looking into that. Arkansas, I was looking around Arkansas. They got some out there, but not 3 and 4 bedroom houses though. Not ready to move in houses though. They got some out there though. The houses out there in Arkansas going quick. They got some in Tennessee going quick too. But the further down the line we're going, um, as everybody gets used to this bombing thing going on in Iran, the more houses getting picked up because y'all gotta understand this the year. If y'all everybody who got a W-2 job in 25 filing their taxes in 26, this the year because your tax return should have all of your overtime tax from 25 coming back to you on a refund. All of your all of your tip taxes is coming back on a refund. So if you used to get 1,000, $5,000, whatever back last year, this year you might get 10 or 15,000, which would be just enough to cover getting yourself a house. So you can just to this year the year to make that change. He said DTI at 40%. Better get another job and start a budget ASAP. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Michael. You better be closer to 30%. Yeah, small homes with no garages is going to be cheaper than the house that's got the carport with the 2 car garages and all that stuff. When you start talking about houses with ooh, you say a Little Rock, go to Pine Bluff. They really cheap over there. Nobody likes Pine Bluff. But small homes with no garages, yeah. No small home, no garage, almost no yard. You know, you're looking at like 0.15 acres of property. Yeah, you can find them. But when you start talking about point 0.5, 0.35 acres of property, 2 car garage, 3 bedroom house, fenced in, nah, they not giving you none of that for $100,000 with no overtime. Form from the employer, you do it yourself. You can cheat. Well, what you supposed to do it yourself, what you should have did was take your last check stuff from December, count up all your overtime, and then count up all your tips that they took off your credit card. Don't count your cash because that's not gonna benefit you at all. And then claim on your taxes, and Uncle Sam got you. But in 2026, they're going to be penalized if they don't have a second line item on your check stub to cover accounting for unpaid taxes or unpayable taxes on your overtime hours. So you should see it. Unfortunately, I don't have a W-2, so I can't verify it yet. But you should see it an extra line item to cover your overtime. But all that extra money y'all gonna be getting back this year from all that stuff y'all got taxed on last year that y'all no longer getting taxed on this the year. Instead of buying a new Xbox or buying a new car, buy yourself a house. This the year, because if you paying rent and you can find a house that's just as much or cheaper than your rent, this is it. It ain't there, they're gonna be in trouble. The future and starter homes and seniors is small houses on small land. Yeah, yeah. So, and that's one of the other things I was gonna say. Don't just go look at regular houses. Go look at farmhouses, because farmhouses are going to be like 5 acre pieces of property with a 3 bedroom house on it for the same price as a 3 bedroom property in a neighborhood with on a quarter acre piece of property. And what you can do is with that 5 acre piece of property, you can turn the rest of the yard into a neighborhood and put you a bunch of small homes in there and add you some roads and stuff, and then just rent out the rest of your property and have the people paying for your land. You got 5 acres, you can use 3 acres for a rental property, and then keep the other 2 acres for your regular yard, and you can be your own landlord, have your own little society, make yourself mayor of your own little neighborhood. You know, I did taxes, I cheated like a motherfucker. Most people do. Most people do. They sent me a letter saying this ain't a bill. I said, well, then I don't got to respond to it. They let me know that they had some money, and I said, oh, well, in that case, you can keep it. I don't need it because I'm not giving y'all shit. You can hold on to it. You know, every year they tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, somebody sent us some money on your behalf. That's good for me. I ain't got to give you nothing now. Uh, now, look, first up is the first one of the three pillars is going to be the one that you guys have heard a million times. Renting is just throwing away your money, and this may be the most misleading piece of financial advice out there. It's designed to make you panic, to feel like every rent check is a pile of cash that you're setting on fire. But let's reframe this, because renting isn't throwing away money. You're paying for a service. You're paying for shelter, sure, but I mean, you're paying also for flexibility, because you're paying for the freedom to move for a new job with just a 30-day notice instead of a 6 month selling process. You're paying to not have to replace a $20,000 roof in a storm. Rent is the price that you pay for outsourcing risk and maintenance. So, you know, when you go to a restaurant, you don't say that you're throwing away money on food. You're paying for a meal and the convenience of not having to cook. So renting is the same idea. You're paying for a place to live without the risk and massive cost of owning it, right? He said, look up Airbnb in Tampa. That is common. They got tiny houses for rent everywhere. Bro, they got 10 shacks in people backyards and all kind of stuff in Tampa, boy. Them people, they coming up out there. They ain't even trying to play. They what's over there in Tampa, that Hillsborough County, that's like 2.5 million people in Hillsborough County. Boy, they got so many people out there just trying to get it, trying to get it. So you go out there, that's a hot market for real estate. You go out there. I don't know how y'all gonna make that work, but you can go out there. He said, welcome to Weberville. I know, right? Either shack in the backyard, yes sir. They be shacking it up in the backyard. You got like 5 or 7 of them along the fence line, and then power lines running to the main house, and then they just charge you for the little space that you got with the yeah, the shacks, but to charge you for the house with the utilities included, and then just pay extra money on the light bill. Yeah, yeah, they making it work out there. So you might find a piece of property, two houses on a quarter acre piece of property, because they two 1 bedroom houses on that quarter acre sold together. They doing it big out there. Now, the funny thing is about home ownership is this is also full of costs that you're going to never get back. So in the first few years of the mortgage, most of your payment is just going to be the interest going straight to the bank. So you're building almost no equity in the beginning, and then there's going to be that property taxes if you don't get a homestead tax credit, which you're going to pay every year. There's homeowners insurance unless you have an HOA, and there's going to be private mortgage insurance. Um, which unless you have HOA, you don't have to do that. And if you put down less than 20%, they kind of stick you with that. Then there's going to be a maintenance and repair costs, which are a constant drain, and all of that money that you will never see again. So when someone tells you that renting is throwing money away, I mean, the reality is a big chunk of a home ownership cost is also money that you're going to never see again, too. So, the difference is the renter knows exactly what the cost is each month. And for the homeowner, it's a much larger and much more unpredictable number as they're buying in. This is going to lead us to the second myth. A house is always a great investment. Now, we love to tell the stories about people who bought a house for $100,000 and sold it for 1 million. And yeah, that happens. But, treating your home like a guaranteed win a lottery ticket is going to be a dangerous gamble. A single home is a highly concentrated, illiquid asset in one specific zip code, and it's like putting all your money into a single stock. So first, let's talk about the high risk. Home values aren't guaranteed to go up. They can stay flat for years or even go down. So if you have to sell during a downturn, then you could lose a lot of money, especially after you factor in the cost of selling it. He said, your income tax refund will be fat. Hell yeah. All that money he claiming. Now, um, while those costs are going to be huge if you sell a house while it's down, when you sell, you typically pay 5 to 6% in real estate agents' commissions, plus another 1 to 4% in closing costs. On a $500,000 home, that's $30 to $50,000 vanishing right off the top, and your home's value has to go up by that much just for you to break even. And this is going to be why experts agree that if you don't plan to stay in a home for at least 5 years, buying rarely makes financial sense. But the biggest flaw in the house as an investment argument is opportunity cost. So let's say that you have that $100,000 saved. In the buying scenario, that money gets locked into the down payment and closing costs, and it's now stuck in an illiquid asset, which is your house. And if you think about what the alternative is going to be that you keep renting and invest that same $100,000 in a diverse portfolio. Now, historically, the market has returned on average somewhere around 7 to 10% per year. I found some that's turning over 15 to 20% a year. So while a homeowner is slowly building equity, your liquid investment portfolio is compounding and growing. This is going to be the core of the financial argument for renting. So a disciplined renter can build wealth, sometimes even more than a homeowner. The problem, and we're going to get to this, is that it requires discipline. So let's be clear. A house is a place to live that may appreciate in value, but calling it a guaranteed investment is going to be a dangerous oversimplification. Renting isn't throwing away money, and buying isn't a guaranteed path to riches. The reality is far more nuanced. So, now that we've cleared that away, got rid of all those myths, let's build a better way to make this decision using three of my pillars: your money, your lifestyle, and your local market. The right choice for you is where these three areas overlap. So let's start with the first and most critical pillar, your money, because I'm always talking about what impacts your ability to make, save, and invest money. And y'all make sure that y'all like and subscribe and mash those reaction buttons while we're watching the show tonight. Um, this is going to be about the total, true final picture. So most people only look at the PITI, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, but the real cost is going to be so much bigger. First up, the cost to buy. This is going to be your down payment from 2% to over 20% of the price of the property, depending on where you are. Then you have closing costs, which are a dizzying list of fees that can add another 2 to 5%. That's not even the cost of the surveys that you got to do on the property, surveys and inspections, which could cost you another $5,000. Of this loan amount, all of this money is going to be coming out. So you could be looking at a huge cash outlay before you even move into the property. Next is going to be the outgoing cost because besides the PITI, you might have the PMI and an HOA fee. I don't like fucking with HOA fees, but some people ain't got no choice. Higher utility bills are going to come with that. But the most overlooked cost is going to be maintenance. A good rule of thumb is to budget 1 to 3% of your home's value every year for these costs. So for a $400,000 home, that's $4,000 to $12,000 a year. You need to set aside for the water heater that will fail or the roof that will leak. These aren't if costs; these are when costs. So if you're looking at a $400,000 home and you're looking at upward of $1,500 to $2,000 a month worth of mortgage, then you would need to take another $1,000 a month to put into a brokerage account so that you can build up enough money to pay for the cost of these repairs. Now, if you're renting and you're paying $3,000 a month, you're breaking even, right? So HOA fees, insurance rate hikes, repairs, etc., are wild these days. Yes, sir. And then them home inspections. Them home inspections can be a son of it. You be looking at that house like, I love it, I love it, I love it. And then they hit you with some shit. You be like, ooh, hole in the wall, hole in the floor, sinkhole up underneath the house, bodies in a septic tank. Y'all all kind of shit. The house is not connected to the city. You got to pay the extra cost to fix it. Zoning problems. You got all kind of stuff. Water heater flush it every year and it'll last 10 years. HOA, homeowners insurance, the HOAs suck like a bitch. The HOA ain't the problem. It's the self entitled individuals that decide to join the HOA. And not every homeowner joins the HOA. So what ends up happening is instead of the whole neighborhood having a meeting, it's only the 15 people who don't have no value in their own life that join the HOA. And then they make everybody else's life miserable. And because you subjugated the land, you're renting the land from the HOA and you own the house, you have a deed restricted house, so you can't do whatever the fuck you want to do with the house that you're paying for. And if they don't like what you're doing, they can fine you and then put a lien against your house and then foreclose on your house and take your already paid off house from you because you did not follow the HOA's rules. I don't like a HOA. I'll be damned. He said, I saw a story on TV where a homeowner sold his house using the chat GTP and saved thousands. What? I wish a motherfucker would say, that's how you use AI. He sold his house using chat GTP. Mm. I guess because you can draft a lot of documents, and if you spend a lot of time on organizing the documents correctly, you don't need anything other than the license to sell. But a single homeowner does not need a real estate development license to buy or sell a house. They just need a real estate investment license in order to put it up on the MLS. So there isn't any laws or requirements anywhere that you got to pass a bar or something like that in order to do real estate. And that's one of the reasons why real estate is one of the best things to get involved in because you can be a high school dropout and go into real estate. You can be a CEO and go into real estate. You know, if you're in a real estate investment firm, all you got to do is know somebody that's willing to invest in a property and know somebody who's willing to close a deal for or do the brokerage information and then close the deal for you, and you can do it. All you got to do is find the property and middleman the situation. And just because you was involved in a discussion, you can collect a paycheck. You don't really got to have no skills other than how to talk to people. And somebody like me that don't ever shut up, I mean, I could do that. He said Karens are crazy. Karens are wild, bro. He did have a lawyer to read the documents. I mean, he had to make sure that the app did it right, but he saved so much money on getting it automated for him before he went and finalized it. Because could you imagine how much more money he would have paid to have the lawyer take his idea and put it on paper and then organize it and then do like three different updrafts and then the final copy was accepted? Probably would have been 3 hours, would have spent like $750 to get it done. But because he did everything himself, he go to the lawyer and the lawyer checked the box on it. He probably paid $50 to $100 to get it done because the lawyer only took up 15 minutes of the time. Most people use escrow for real estate investments in order to hold the money in good faith. And then when you're doing wholesaling, you can sell the house or leverage that escrow account and sell the escrow account to the other person with the house and close the house and get you some money back. So there's all kind of stuff that's going on with real estate. Now, another thing we're going to look at, exit costs. When you sell, agent commissions and closing costs will typically eat up 5 to 10% of the sale price, which is why I don't sell shit. We typically keep it, right? Now, let's model this out. Let's create two people, owner Olivia and renter Riley. Both live in the same city and have the same saved $80,000. Owner Olivia buys a $400,000 house and she uses her $80,000 for a 20% down payment. Her mortgage is at, let's say, 6.2% interest rate plus taxes and insurance. It's about $3,000 a month. So clearly she's in like Florida, Miami, something like that. She's also budgets 1% maintenance, which is another $333 a month, and her total monthly house cost is about $3,333. Now, let's say rent a Riley comparable home for $2,400 a month, and well, she spends like $933 less per month than Olivia. Now, here's going to be the crucial step. Rent O'Reilly invested her $80,000 down payment money into an index fund, and she also invested the other 933 monthly difference. We're going to assume an average of about 7% annual return for the safe stuff. And then, if we fast forward 10 years, owner Olivia's house has appreciated at a modest 3% per year. So her $400,000 home is now worth about $537,000. She paid her mortgage and now she owes about $307,000 on there. So her raw equity is $230,000. If she sells, she'll pay about 8% in cost, which is about $43,000, leaving her with a net position of roughly about $187,000 in cash. Now let's check out that Renter Riley. Her $80,000 growing at 7% a year is now worth about $157,000. The $933 a month that she invested grows to about $162,000. Her total investment portfolio is now worth $319,000. In this specific scenario, the disciplined renter came out ahead. But, and this is a huge but, this outcome is highly dependent on the numbers that we use. Because what if Olivia's home appreciated by 5% a year? Or what if Riley wasn't disciplined and just spent the extra cash? Recent data shows that in nearly 60% of US counties, the total monthly cost of buying is actually cheaper than renting. So for most people, the mortgage acts as a forced savings plan, and the combination of paying down a loan and natural home appreciation builds significant wealth over time. Not to mention, what you get with a house is a fixed monthly payment for 30 years. What you get with a rental property is a 12 to 18 or 24-month lease. And every year at time of renewal, if you're on good terms with your landlord, you can renew. But if anything happened during the course of your lease where you and your landlord are no longer on good terms, they can refuse to allow you to renew and force you to move at any given time, even though you pay your rent on time. So the long-term security of owning a house is a lot. It is the cost of doing business in comparison to the affordability of renting a house. Because that rent most likely will increase as well. The rent is going to increase 4% a year. So even though the property value of the house is going to go up and save you a lot more money, when you start talking about rent going up 4% a year over 10 years, you're likely going to get a 1/3 increase on your rent. So if you was paying um $800 something dollars a month. You might be paying closer to 12 or $1,500 a month, which would be eating up that extra 933. But I was about to get there. So for pillar one, you have to be brutally honest. Are you disciplined enough to invest the difference if you decided to rent? Or do you need to force yourself with a structured mortgage to build that wealth? Your answer in that particular situation is going to be the entire equation that decides whether renting or buying is going to be the best fit for you. Now, let's move to pillar number two, your lifestyle. And this is what gets ignored in financial spreadsheets, but it's arguably the most important for your happiness. Your house choice has to support the life you want. The main tension here is going to be stability versus flexibility. Homeowners offer stability. You can put down roots, you can paint the walls, renovate the kitchen, and plant trees. For people raising a family in a certain school district who have a stable long term job, this stability is priceless. Renting, on the other hand, offers flexibility. It gives you the agility. What if your dream job opens up in another state? What if you want to change careers and lower your expenses? For a renter, these pivots are going to be simple. You give notice and you move. For a homeowner, a move is a massive undertaking that can take months, if not years, and cost tens of thousands of dollars. Your assets can become an anchor. So remember, if you don't plan to stay put for at least 5 to 7 years, buying rarely makes financial sense. When we're talking about personal, rent versus buy. But for commercial, oh yeah, buy and hold that bitch. But again, you're holding it for 5 or 7 years. You're not trying to do a fix or flip. He's in rent in my old city. We're jumping from like 600 ish to 800 ish in many areas overnight. Yeah, it's tax time. It's going up that 4%. Really going from 600 to 800, they jumping up like $200. That's more than 4%. From that, that's that's 25%, 25, 30% spike. They taxing. They taxing. But this is the time of year that they're gonna do it during tax time when everybody got extra money and they want to upgrade their standard of living because they got all this extra money, 25, 30, $40,000 worth of money that they getting from all that money taken out of their tax return. And then they thinking that, oh, we balling this, that, and third. We gonna move to X, Y, and Z spot, throw all this money down on renting all these different places and thinking that, oh, it's gonna be good. That money ain't gonna get come like that one year. Because next year they shit gonna be together and they not gonna have all that taxation on you like they had on it this year. So you're not gonna see that big ass tax return in 2027. You're gonna see that big ass tax return in 2026. So you don't put that money somewhere valuable. That's gonna be the last time you see that large stack of money coming from the U.S. government. That's a return on investment. Now, you also going to have to consider your time and your energy when you start talking about renting versus buying. Home ownership is a part-time job that you don't get paid for. There's always something to fix or to maintain. So for some people, this is going to be joyful. For others, this could be a soul-crushing time drain. And for those people paying rent, it's a deliberate choice to buy back their time and their mental energy. You don't got to think about shit. Garbage disposal break, call a landlord. Toilet plugged up, call a landlord. Light bulb don't work, call a landlord. But grass need to be cut, call a landlord. But let something happen at your house. You got to look at your bank account and see how much money you got to fix that. Now, the last piece of the puzzle is going to be pillar number three, your local market. Rent versus buy equation is intensely local. The math in Cleveland, Ohio is completely different from San Francisco, California. The best tool to get a quick read on your market is the price to rent ratio. So this is going to be a simple calculation. Take the price of a typical home and divide it by the annual rent of a similar property. So a $300,000 house that rents for 1,500 a month, $18,000 a year, has a price to rent ratio of 16.7. As a general guideline, a ratio of 1 to 15% tends to be favoring buying. A ratio of 16 to 20% is a gray area, and a ratio above 21% tends to favor renting. So it's important to know that this is just going to be your starting point. So in some high cost markets, this ratio might stay high, but a stable fixed mortgage could still be cheaper in the long run than facing unpredictable rising rents. So you have to do the calculations for your own neighborhood. And you can go to a real estate website and find homes for sale that you consider and then find a comparable rents and do the math. And this is going to be one of the number one things that gives you the power to clue yourself in about financial wins in the area that you're intending on going. Me myself, I be trying to get me a big ass piece of land and put me up some big ass fences and some century towers and big ass spotlights, have a Batman emblem in the sky. They're gonna be looking at my house like this guy is crazy. Y'all be decorating y'all house like Santa and Christmas, and my house gonna be looking like Gotham City. This guy got electric fences and shit, bob wire everywhere. Um, and then most of that money is gonna be spent on toys, new cars, and TVs. You already know it. You already know. You know how many people gonna be the next WWE champion this year with all the money they're gonna be wasting on bullshit. They're gonna waste so much money in March, April, and May, and then in June, July, August, they're gonna be wondering where the money went. And then this time next year, they're gonna be regretting every decision they made. I don't know what to tell you. Is they got to get a house in Pittsburgh for that? You can go if you go to a place with a low population, the value of the house is going to be cheaper. You're going to get more land for your money. You're going to get more house size for your money. As long as it is closer to your job, unless you work off the computer, you good to go. But when you start trying to find a place to go and you got a specific job at a specific location, you've only got so many places to look. And usually, if you're trying to do 30 minutes to an hour driving distance from your job, you're typically going to be closer to inner city, and the prices for houses inner city cost more than prices for houses in rural areas. You get a house that's out of the way, 35, 45 minutes in the woods before you get to civilization, house way cheaper than a house that's got a house next door to one another and a house in the backyard kind of situation. You know, when you step off of your porch and you're on your neighbor's porch, that type of closeness, them houses is way more expensive than when it takes 5 minutes for you to go from your house to the next door neighbor house. You know what I mean? That's when you need binoculars to see what your neighbor doing on the porch. That type of property, that property is way cheaper than a property where you can see your neighbor through your window, in their window, looking back at you. Now, let's go a little bit deeper. And people sometimes rent or buy for strategic reasons, and that's traditional advice that people miss. So let's start with some unorthodox reasons to buy. First is forcing better behavior. Some people are self-aware. They know if they have an extra $1,000, they won't invest it. A mortgage is a mandatory savings plan, and the principal pay down is wealth that they are forcing themselves to build. So for them, buying a house is about imposing discipline. Second is creating income or house hacking. And this is going to be when a home becomes a revenue producing asset. You can buy a duplex like my man, I forgot his name, Sean, like my man Sean was talking about doing, live in one half and then rent out the other. You can buy a home with a spare bedroom and get a roommate, help you pay on the mortgage. Make sure you get a contract to let them know that it's for room and board, not for equity into the house. The house isn't a liability in these situations, it's the foundation of a business. Now, let's look at the unorthodox reasons to rent. First is going to be strategic minimalism. Some of the most successful people I know rent by choice. They want to be able to say yes to a sudden opportunity, a startup in another country or a 3 month project overseas without being tied down by real estate. So for them, a life rich with options is worth more than potential equity. I'm going to tell you right now, before I go any further on that one, if you get you a really cheap house that's reasonably priced and you pay that some bitch off and all you got is the property taxes, then you can leave your house and then move to another country and you only paying like $75 a year on your damn house, and then you don't gotta worry about all that extra cost and leave all your stuff in America and just take your duffel bag and fly to another country. Whereas if you rent, you got to pay that rent, you got to renew that lease, and if you don't, they'll put your stuff out, and when you come back, you ain't got no stuff. They said out there when no one will hear you scream, yeah, boy, hills have eyes. You know, it'd be some as the world turn and some murder she wrote. Now, second is going to be legal insulation. For some professionals, like doctors or business owners, having a lot of equity in a home can make them a target for lawsuits. Renting can be part of an asset protection strategy if you're not going to try to get a trust, keeping wealth in less visible accounts. And a professional favorite, protecting your mental bandwidth. Some people know that if they own a home, they will obsess over every little inkling of its value. Plan renovations they can't afford and lose sleep over every strange noise, and they rent as a conscious act of self preservation. They pay a landlord to handle the entire category of problems so that they can direct their attention towards their work, family, health, and, sleep. It's not being lazy, it's strategic. So we covered a ton of ground here, and I know it can keep feeling like a lot of pressure. So to help you put it all into practice, we're going to be creating some simple worksheets. I'm going to be putting this stuff into the membership so that you guys can get that three pillar framework step by step and help you calculate those price to rent ratios and assess your financial habits and clarify your lifestyles and the needs that you want to have, because these are going to be the things that are designed to take your idea and turn it into a practical tool that can actually be used. So, after all of this, what's going to be the answer for you? Are you going to rent or are you going to buy? The answer for me is buy. The answer for you depends entirely on you. Anyone who gives you a blanket always buy or always rent answer is doing you a huge disservice. They don't know your income, your career, your goals, your family plans, or your local market. They don't know if you've got charge offs on your credit score or negative marks that'll prevent you from qualifying for a loan. They don't know if you've got recent evictions that will prevent you from qualifying with purchasing a house. You actually, if you're buying into an HOA, can't buy a house if you got a felony within a certain period of time, because the HOA doesn't allow certain people in the neighborhood with certain bad criminal records. So all of these things play a huge factor into whether or not you buy or whether or not you rent. But if you foreclose on a house and you can no longer mortgage a house, you can always switch over to renting. And if you get evicted from a house, you can always switch over to buying a house, because your eviction has nothing to do with your foreclosure as long as you don't have an outstanding balance on your landlord. So the goal here is never to give you an answer that is a one size fit all for everyone. It is a way to give you guys a framework to figure this out for yourselves. So the first thing you want to analyze is going to be your money, the total cost, the total opportunity cost, and your own discipline is highly important. Second, you want to elevate your lifestyle. You want to be honest about whether you need stability or flexibility right now. We're not talking about spending more money and paying more money. We're talking about putting you in a position where you can make more money and save more money. Then, third, you want to understand your local market by calculating the price to rent ratio to see if the math in your city works. Neither renting nor buying is good or bad. I mean, they are just different tools. Buying can be a fantastic way to build wealth, generating reoccurring income that you don't have to work for. I expect you to buy and hold because that's better than buying and selling, and then you got to go back and buy another one. Um, Reoccurring income is the goal for no matter what you do with your portfolio. Building can be a fantastic wealth to build that wealth, but and I mean, especially when you're in a market that is cheaper in the long term, but it is the only situation that is working in is if you're financially ready and you plan to stay exactly where you are. So if you're trying to be on the move and you're not willing to put the house up for rent and try to micromanage the other individuals, then you might want to rent your property, put all your stuff in storage, and then go on about your day. But if you've got the capabilities to say, I don't care what's going on with this house, I'll put the money aside for 1 year worth of leaving the house in one spot, and the money that you would have paid for storage is the money that you could have paid for the house on standby because no utilities are running, and the house is it, you just got the annual property taxes and property insurance and all that other stuff. So the 1,200 a year that you might pay for all the stuff you got to pay for the house might be way cheaper to keep all of your cars and all of your furniture and all of your clothes that you're not taking with you to another country, to pay for that stuff if you own the house, not if you're paying a mortgage. If you own the house outright with no mortgage, to do that and then move than it is to, rent something. So it really depends on what your situation is. But if you're trying to build your 20-year plan and you buy and own a house where you're going to stay in that house for 5 or 7 years, and then after that, with no mortgage to deal with because you done massively paid off your house, and then you're going to go ahead and start spending the next 10 years building yourself up to fly to another country and travel the world. Then by the time you get to where you got to go, you got everything is on autopilot. you know so it really depends on what you're trying to do, because if you're and when we did that comparison of rent to buy, we compared a house that was cheaper than the mortgage. Well, no, we compared a house rent that was cheaper than a mortgage, and in that dynamic, it was way cheaper. But when you look at the property value in certain neighborhoods, the houses for rent cost more than certain houses for sale. And a mortgage might be a lot cheaper. And in those dynamics, it would be better for you to own the house and pay less money on rent, and put the extra money that you don't use on rent into a brokerage account, and use that brokerage account to build enough money so that when you do need to fix the house, you can fix the house. And when you don't need to fix the house, you can build up your wealth, and then by the time you finish with that mortgage, you can go to another country, you can do your thing, and everything's going to be copacetic. Likewise, any extra profits coming out of your brokerage account can get thrown into your mortgage to cover interest rates, and that's going to be a tax blanket so that your brokerage account can build and you don't have to pay as much taxes. And that actually gives you a little bit more stuff going on. So there's a lot of things that a house can do for you that a apartment can't, that renting something can't. It just really depends on what you're trying to do. um, Renting can be a strategically brilliant way to stay flexible, reduce risk, and build wealth through disciplined investing as well. It's just another way to do it. The societal pressure to buy is going to be immense. I'm going to press you to buy because this is going to be the last year that it's going to be this easy. You're going to be told that you're falling behind or that you're being irresponsible. I want you guys to ignore that noise. The most responsible thing that you can do is to choose the path that aligns with your actual life, not the life that you think that you're supposed to want. You want to trust the framework, run your own numbers, and make the choices that support your future, because you've got to live that life. You don't need to live up to my expectations. You want to live up to your own. That's going to be one of the best ways to make yourself more effective. Now, guys, today was a short show today. I know normally we be running like 3 hours. We be up here all damn night. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out because I done been up since the last time we did this podcast. I ain't even been to bed yet. I'm tired of the Jesus. I done had so much stuff going on today. It's crazy. So what we gonna do? Because I gotta get everything set up for tomorrow and start putting some stuff up for the rest of the week, and then get all the stuff in there for the membership. I'm gonna go ahead and end the show early for the night because I want to make sure that we got our Saturday night show up there. Um, and then we've got a lot of stuff coming up for the upcoming week. And I'm going to be double checking to see what their results were for the DHS bill, and then what we plan on doing going forward with um, political disarray in the United States and India and in Britain and everything to that effect, and give you guys some updates for Monday's show. And we're going to have some pretty interesting topics to talk about on Tuesday about ways to make, save, and invest money. So I want you guys to stay tuned to that. So on my way out, I want to say, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So ladies, please make it make sense. And then, fellas, I'm going to give you guys this information to help y'all become higher value men. Because if you find the things in your life that you don't like, and everybody's got it, something in your life that sucks, it's inside of your control. You need to proactively put forth the effort to make those changes and start seeing some improvements in your life. And then you got the ability to navigate around the things that are outside of your control. But ladies, while this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can improve your ability to be a higher value woman by finding out where you want to be at with your 20-year plan and reverse engineer that so that you can put forth that effort into getting those steps together and keep your eyes and ears open to the proper suitors that is actually going to benefit your ability to meet that goal, because two people can cross that bridge faster than one. Okay. Now, with that being said, I want to go ahead. Special shout out to Micah, Steven, and Sean. I really appreciate y'all for showing so much love tonight. And special shout out to FX Trader. I didn't forget about you at all. I think y'all did a fantastic job providing us with a lot of information about real estate tonight. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground.